not like her. We're checking it off.
We could share, I know.
And you have the, it is that right email, right? Stay here, I just want to show it.
So, Catherine, we're about ready to get ready, get
Yeah,
started.
I'll
Are
send-
you guys
Hey,
okay?
Kevin, just go like this if you do get it, okay?
Okay, we're going to get started. Sit down. Thank you.
We're out of control, Joe.
No, we're going to get started tonight for Board of Finance regular meeting, and this is a continuation of the budget public hearings for Thursday, March 26th, 2026. And before we get started with the presentations, I'd just like to provide an overview of the budget requests that total $150,250,274, or a request of an additional $8,791,000 in expenditures, which is a 6.2% increase over current estimated expenditures. That equates, after considering revenues, for a net to be raised from taxation of $128,077,000. And based on the grand list of $5,767,000,000, that equates to a 22.7 mill rate, or an increase of 1.3 mils. And as in prior years, the Board of Finance has the public hearings that are open to the public and RTM members, and we consider all of the departments. We then have a budget workshop on the April 6th, at which time we will recommend the budget to the RTM. RTM will conduct their committee meetings and deliberations, and then have a final budget approved on the 12th of May. We will have a meeting on the 18th of May in order to finalize revenues and make any adjustments that the RTM came up with, and then set the mill rate. So with that, first on tonight is elections. On page 22.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
Total request is $342,525, increase of $48,782. I'd like to provide the highlights for the request.
Sure. Before we get started, I'm Darren Lawler. I'm the Republican Registrar of Voters. This is my counterpart, Jeff Rowan. He's the Democrat Registrar of Voters. I'll start with the personnel. And I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. For part-time clerical support, we're looking for a significant pay raise for the two assistant registrars in the office. They are both certified moderators, meaning on election day or a primary, they are qualified to run a polling location per the Secretary of State's office. God forbid a moderator, the moderator is the chief election official at a poll, calls out sick or has to leave the poll due to illness, they can step in and take over. They are both currently paid just over Connecticut minimum wage. We feel that due to the high importance of such a position, that they are extremely underpaid for their responsibilities. Next, I'll go to the deputy registrars. We feel that the deputies deserve a larger than standard pay raise because, like the part-time and clerical staff, the deputies are not only moderator certified, but are also certified by the UConn School of Business to fill in for the registrars if either one of us are not able to perform our duties. as many of you know, is the case in point, myself several years ago, and Don Conklin filled in for me. As far as Jeff and I, the registrars, since early voting started in Connecticut in 2024, we are now required to work a minimum of an extra 184 hours a year just to cover the 14 days of early voting for all elections, plus an extra 7 days of early voting for primaries. This extra 184 hours a year just covers the hours of that early voting is open. This does not include the numerous hours required to prepare for early voting and same-day registration. Demands have increased with this job over the past couple of years, especially it increased in workloads with more pressure on registrars in the form of increased rules and regulations, growing voter rolls, freedom of information requests. What is supposed to be a 10-hour work week often requires double that amount. With the introduction of new voting technology and expected new changes in voter registry systems, we are going to require more training and time. The complexities of the modern registrar's job requires much more than 10 hours a week, often 20 to 30 hours a week, just to keep up with all the new regulations and technology. And then the other line item we added, seasonal and part-time help. This is a line item we are asking to be put back into our budget so we can pay poll workers that have to come into our office for training. Let's see. All right, then for non-personnel, those line items we bumped up because even though it's not official yet, there is likely to be a Republican and a Democrat gubernatorial primaries in August. That is the word we're hearing from Hartford. We won't know 100% until June 9th, when the petitions must be filed by then. And that is all I have, Jeff, if you want to take over.
I hate to say, but painting with a broad brush, as Darren had mentioned, we've talked about in the past, is the state, of course, and you've probably heard this from us many times, gives us a lot of unfunded mandates, new equipment, new stuff, and it's kind of like learning on our own. So we do end up putting a lot more of our own time in to getting this done. And as Darren said, we added something more because we do have moderators, and we replaced some certain people from other departments, so we had to bring them in for training also. So, but unfortunately, I said a lot of it does come from the state level, and that's kind of just piling up with new technologies, new training, and new things. And also, too, if the feds push through what they're looking at doing, that's going to be even more stuff that we're going to have to handle. So,
And I would just like to add, I meant to mention this. I found this information on Connecticut Post. In 2023, the Milford registrars earned a 45% pay raise. In 2025, West Hartford earned a 58% pay raise, and the deputies received a 29% pay raise. So that's basically the justification we're finding that's happening all over the state. It's not just Jeff and I looking for a pay raise. This is going on in every town across the state, mostly because of all the new rules, regulations, and especially early voting that's been mandated.
Thank you. Catherine, could you maybe at some point, sometime next week, give us a breakdown of the personnel costs within this budget? It's really not called out for us at this point. It's not back there. Thank you. Questions from the board on this budget? Deborah?
Jeff and Howard, just curious, are we up to date with all of the equipment that we need? I know there's a lot of new tabulators and other new technology that we've been bringing in over time.
We have all the
everything
new
we need?
tabulators now, and in our current budget, we were able to pay off the maintenance fees that were required. and the licensing fees. Those are good for, a year and a half, I believe?
Yeah, I think we're good through at least beginning of next year, yeah.
And as far as, we are supposed to be getting what they call Total Vote, which is it's a new computer program that's going to replace the current Connecticut voter registration system. That keeps getting pushed back and pushed back. Now they're telling us it's not going to happen until December. This was supposed to take place months ago, so I don't know what to tell you as far as that, but this new computer system is coming. They keep telling us we've already been to training on it, Jeff and I, and that there's going to be more training. But if it gets implemented in December, well, who knows?
Hardware-wise, yeah, we are pretty much where we're supposed to be. It's just software with the state, and even software for the hardware that we have is kind of that gray zone, because it's still not 100% sure. Like when we do programming, is it something we do ourselves, something we get charged for, and then Darren gets a bill and we deal with it then. So, but yeah, hardware-wise, we're fine. It's just software was kind of the gray zone.
Other questions from the board? Okay, questions from the audience, RTM members, on this election budget request? Okay, folks, thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Page 45 is East Shore Health District, next budget.
Thank you.
Good evening, Michael. How are you?
Good evening.
The total budget is $452,080, of which East Shore Health is $416,763.
All right. Good evening. Michael Pascasola. I'm with the East Shore Health District. First, let me thank you for allowing me to present today instead of Monday. I had a medical scan on my heart, something I get every couple years, and that was the only appointment available. So thank you for moving it for me. So the East Shore Health District is per capita, right? Everything is set by general statutes based on per capita. And so the rate is set at $14.65, and the population, based on the census data, is 28,448. So this past census data, the population for Branford increased by 417 residents. And so simple math, that's $416,763. The mosquito control budget, there was an increase. Talking to All Habitat, who is the vendor, prices have gone up, so there was a 3% increase to $17,317. Now that is a program we manage, but all the invoices are paid by the town, and that is set up in all the towns, so we just manage the budget. The pump out vessel program is a regional 5-town water quality program, and that's set at $3,000 per town. And so when you look at last year's budget to this year's budget, the increase is $22,592.
The environmental testing piece of it?
So this is a something we added to the budget. We've been doing significant water quality testing, specifically in the Short Beach area. And so through that testing, also known as microbial source tracking, we use DNA analysis to do contamination traceback, and it was traced back to canine waste. And so through working with the neighborhood, who also helped fund this project, along with state grants, and So between the East Shore Health District, town officials, I have to put a shout out for all the town officials who've been very instrumental in helping us with the project, Public Works, engineering, and others. We have been able to increase the water quality, which was rated at about a C- with over 10 years of regular closures. We've had no closures in the last several years. And we went from a C- to a B+. Through that testing, while it has significantly increased the water quality, we're finding some areas that are areas of concern or areas of focus. And so we would like, and requesting $15,000 to do the microbial source tracking in those areas, and just kind of pinpoint where it's coming from in the Granite Bay area and one particular area of Short Beach. There's one sort of hot drain in that area.
Got
And
it.
so that's the $15,000. The testing is quite expensive. We have to use a private lab. While the state does assist us in preparing the samples, we have to send it to a private lab.
Very good. Questions from Michael on this budget? From the board? You're good, you're good. Questions from the board, the RTM members, members of the public? No takers?
Just one question.
Oh, Harry.
How's the radon program going where you're offering them to our town residents?
Yeah,
at no
so
cost?
through a state grant process, we offer free radon kits. And we ask for the maximum. And I think this year we got over 100 or so. And residents could come into our office and get a free radon test kit.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure. All right, no other questions? Nancy, you know what, if you need, we need to use the mic. Henry's asked us that we use the mic, so.
Thank you. Nancy McCormick, 6th District. Mike, the C- to B+ rating, over what period of time did that increase occur?
So it increased over a 2-year period. So for years, it was around a C-. And so once we identified the source of contamination, which is canine waste, dog waste, we worked with the community, and we put a campaign together. They're very instrumental in getting the word out. We worked with Public Works on cleaning the storm drains. We worked at engineering with and wastewater treatment plant with Cammering. And so through that collective effort, in a period of 2 years, we went from the 4th worst water quality out of 37 beaches, and it was a C-, and now it is a B. So it was done in a period of a couple years, with no closures.
Yeah, thank you.
To date.
John?
Mike, can you talk about the public outreach part of this?
So as in the awareness campaign?
Yes.
Absolutely. So it would not be possible to do this without the neighborhood's assistance. And so working with the Short Beach Association, they put together a committee, and we had some students help with some of the marketing and branding. And that through that community, they did a dog parade. Signs were made up. We got some grant money from the state, and we used some of our funding and some town funding and some of their funding just to do a marketing and branding, let people know that they need to pick up their dog waste. And it significantly has increased. I will say there's still some work to be done, and the more we go into the research and talk to our counterparts, not just here in Connecticut, but outside, we're finding that dog waste is a significant issue. And so through this process, we're trying to replicate it in other communities and share lessons we've learned. So this is not a Branford problem. I want to make that very clear. It is everywhere. And we would not be where we are today if it wasn't for that neighborhood and all the work they did.
That's great. There's some good coverage in the newspapers recently on it that also as well.
Yes, and on the research side, we've been publishing it and getting the word out, and it is not just in this country, but even overseas. And so we're going to do a full journal publication to share what we've learned because it's a success story. Normally, when we have water contamination, it doesn't turn out this way. This is
Not easily solvable.
It's not easily solvable, and in this, through this research, it's worked out well, and we just need to take it to the next step, right? Because a B is nice, but no,
A is better.
we want to get an A, or some version of an A. A minus, A, perhaps A plus.
Triple A's are good.
Triple A's are good, right? Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Mike, thanks. Any other questions? I think we're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Public Works on page 39. Let's see. Welcome, Gary. You survived the winter, the blizzard.
Yeah, kind of.
You and the men.
We did. It was tough, but we got through it.
You got through it.
Actually, we had a kind of a normal winter, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Right. Okay, so you are asking for a total of $2,995,566 on your operating side. Do you want to hit the highlights for us? Anything else you'd like to provide?
Yes. Well, as you can see, there's really no significant increase in the personnel side. The only increases are contractual. Okay. Moving into the operating, non-personnel. Professional development, you'll see a decrease. We took $5,000 out of that, and we're actually moving that to the employment testing and the R&M. The reason for this is we've been training our drivers. We've been getting them upgrades from Class B CDLs to Class A's. We have a need for the guys to be licensed with A's because we have trailers now. We haul heavier equipment, and that's where our department has gone. So we need guys to be licensed in that. So with that comes training. I figured the only way we do it is we send them, and it does cost some money, but we've retained some good guys, made guys a lot better, and things are working out with that. So that is the decrease from the 17.5 to 12,005. Employment testing, you'll see the increase. We just moved that money from $3,000 to $5,000. The employment testing is used for professional development, also medical evaluations, along with the CDLs, which everybody in this department is required to have. They have to go through yearly, or sometimes 2 years, yearly, sometimes even 6 months, a CDL medical certificate. So they have to be tested. The town pays for that. So we thought that it was better to put it in this because we've had a turnover in guys, so that's why we're doing that. And then the purchase services, the R&M account, we took $3,000 from that professional development, and we're asking for another $7,000, rounded off to $10,000. It's just mostly due to we've kept that $245,000 flat for years, and we've managed it pretty well. But the past couple of years, it's been getting kind of lean, and with the amount of equipment that we have, not just our own, but, repairing police vehicles, Parks and Rec, others. We could use the extra 10,000. Everything else has remained flat in the operating budget.
You've accommodated for increased fuel costs?
Yes. That we are good in. I checked it before, checked where we're at before we put this budget in, and I feel that we're okay with it.
Okay, questions on the operating budget for Public Works? Questions from RTM members of the board of, John, you have a question?
I do. So can you tell us about the impact of all the snow removal that you had to do this year on the budget? Because I see that last year we spent just under 1.4 million. We're budgeted at 1.5 and a bit. So are we going to come in on budget this year?
As far as what, the overtime?
Well, as far as the entire
overtime is
personnel.
blown. I blew the overtime budget. So, I mean, I'm expecting to make some transfers within the budget, and I believe we can make it, we'll be fine.
And the overall personnel budget,
Yeah,
you think will come in
overall,
on?
yes,
Will
yes.
come in on number this year?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions on the operating?
But I would just add that we all know what happened this winter, so we're not gonna, if Gary is shy, we'll transfer it to make that whole.
We will take care of it.
I'm never shy.
In the upgrade of Class B to A,
Yes.
are any of our drivers going to be carrying hazmat endorsements? And has we taken that into consideration money-wise?
That, we don't really have any reason to have a hazmat. I carry a hazmat for my own reasons, but there's no real need for it. We're not hauling any hazardous materials.
That's all we need to know.
Okay?
Thank you. Other questions on the operating? What do you have for capital?
Review the Docks and Rec or
What's that?
Page 66 in the capital
page
section.
48 or no?
Capital.
Capital.
Oh, capital.
That's
So,
what,
okay.
66, but you have it.
I do.
What page is that on, Kathy?
Page 66 in section 4.
Starts at 66.
In the back section. So it's radio replacement, start with that one?
Yeah, we've run into some difficulties with our radios. I think we've been getting repurposed and hand-me-down radios for years, and this year we found out that not all radios are communicating with each other. And we've had our radio service people come out and perform radio tests, and they thought they had it until we got out for the first storm, and then we found out, like, truck 37 wasn't communicating with 183, but other people were hearing it, and it was just, we had to go through a series of radio tests every storm, radio checks, so that we knew which one was which. And sometimes it would be intermittent. So I think, and Josh actually witnessed it because he likes to listen to the
I heard
the
it.
circus.
Wasn't great.
So they are, we could say, inoperable. No, they are
Need upgrade.
not repairable.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we need upgrades, so we need new, unfortunately. So we're looking for $98,000
How many, that's for 28
for
radios?
28 two-way radios.
Okay. Why don't you go through and then we'll ask questions. The transfer station floor,
Transfer station floor, if anybody is going out there, Bay 5 and 6 has become a real hazard. The first 2 inches of that floor, I'm not even sure how old that structure is now. That's was built, what, in the 90s or something like that, I believe.
80s.
That floor, that Bay 5 and 6 takes the most abuse with the machines running over it. And they've actually scoured off the top 3 inches. They've already gone through the first steel mat. So instead of a 10-inch slab, you have in places 7, maybe 8-inch slab. The back curb, which is a huge safety issue, there's a back curb that's where, that's used to kind of deflect the trash into the pit where the trailers park. And that's where we pack it, process everything. That curb, I want to say 75% of that curb is no longer there. So it's just a straight shot. So we need to get that floor replaced. And that is Bay 5 and 6. That's going to be quite an ordeal because it's a time thing.
Shut them down.
They're going to have to shut down, and they're going to have to do it as quickly as possible. Fast curing concrete, the crew is going to have to, they're going to have to, it's going to be a demo, reform, and pour. They're going to have to put replace all the steel mat in there too. So it's going to be quite a job, but it has to be done quickly.
Okay. Road improvement and resurfacing.
Road improvement, resurfacing. Added, I think we asked an increase of 25,000. Added to make to 575.
575, yeah.
Yep. That's just to keep up with our road resurfacing projects. The mill per square yard now, the price is $2.28. Leveling is $114 per ton. We're looking at quite a few roads that are going to be reclaimed, which is an added expense. We're trying not to, but right now, as it stands, any of the mill and pave projects, our typical 2-inch mill and pave, will vary per mile, to say 24-foot wide to 30-foot wide, anywhere from $243,000 to $290,000, depending on how much curb we're going to replace and how many driveway aprons match up, where we might have to replace also.
That's with milling or just?
That was with milling. Reclaim is a different animal.
Right.
It's they're just coming out with
paving.
new. Yeah.
Milling
Yeah.
and paving.
Yep.
Okay. Your apparatus.
I believe there's a little increase there. I think that was another increase of 25,000. Just to offset the increases in vehicle and heavy equipment cost. Also, we added in some money or planning to buy or accommodate the purchase of town fleet vehicles. Any of the town fleet vehicles. We've been using old police cars for years, and most of these cars have seen their better days. We've been limping them along. We usually try to use them for our own purposes at Public Works, but sometimes they trickle down to the town fleet, town hall and other departments, but there's going to be a need to purchase some decent vehicles. They don't have to be brand new. We just purchased, I believe, an Equinox a little while ago for one of the departments, and it was used, but it's a fine car.
Where's the inventory of vehicles?
Ooh. Town fleet? That's a great question. A lot.
We have those. We have an inventory.
Insurance file?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you expect to purchase with the 250?
We have, I'm looking at purchasing another, this is new, an F600 dump truck, four-wheel drive. These, the 550s and F600 Fords have been working out really well for us during plowing season. They're able to carry a couple of ton of salt in the sander. The maneuverability of these trucks are phenomenal, and we can actually get down into the smaller areas like Short Beach, Pine Orchard, Stony Creek with these trucks, and still not have to make 4 trips during the storm for salt. And so there's going to be, we're going to be purchasing a F600. tradesman truck, possibly a couple of snow plows, and soon I'd like to, my next large purchase would be a tractor with a side mower. We have two tractors with side mowers. One is a John Deere with what they call a Wildcat. That's an over-the-rail mower. That's pretty brand new, but we also need a replacement for a John Deere that has what they call a Tiger, and that's a more aggressive mower. It's got a longer reach. This one has really outlived its days, and we're in need of it because we try to get both sweepers, both mowers out during the season to just get through the town. There's no more days of just having one guy and one machine go around town because there's just too many phone calls, too many complaints.
Okay. Your ADA ramps?
Yeah, that's just a continuation of what we've been doing, replacing, upgrading, providing ADA compliant ramps to existing and mostly existing sidewalks. You see a lot of sidewalks around town that just need to be upgraded. They're not compliant. They were done back in the 80s and they were just ramps. They're not compliant for ADA. So the average size of a ramp is about 75 square feet. Sometimes they get away with 50 square feet if it's a straight shot, but if it includes the wings, there's several different ADA ramps. We could roughly get 12 ADA ramps out of this 20,000 per year.
Your line striping?
Line striping, we're going to take a year off on that. Not that we're not going to be line striping, but we don't need that money right now. I think we could do this on a, like, every 2-year thing and ask for $35,000.
Gotcha. Downtown center maintenance, same thing?
You want to speak on that, Josh?
Well, so normally this budget is $25,000, and during my process, I decided, because of what's going on with the town center, I thought, a little bit errantly, that a lot of that maintenance would go away because you're doing a lot of work down there. So I, without consulting Gary or Trista, moved the $25,000 from there into the sidewalk replacement budget. Upon further deliberation, I'm going to request at some point, whether it's through this body or another, that we move 10,000 of the sidewalk replacements back into downtown center. When I realized my mistake, Catherine was printing the book, and I didn't want to,
Right.
So I think because there is still with certain aspects of what we do there, whether it's tree lighting, holiday stuff on the town hall, there will still be a need for some money in that budget. So I'm just asking at some point that somebody move 10,000 back from the sidewalks or from somewhere back into this line item, and I apologize for that.
That's fine, that's fine. Okay, and so we got that one. As far as seawall repair,
Yep. We're just remaining flat. That's just our regular maintenance on the seawalls around town, Stony Creek, Branford Point, and Short Beach along Clark Avenue Beach. Basically just repointing
right,
and replacing rocks that fall out.
okay, and then sidewalks,
So sidewalk replacement, right now, we have it set at $100,000, which was a $25,000 increase. Josh already spoke about that, but at this point right now, depending on the type of sidewalk, if if we stick with the $100,000, we would be able to repair just a normal sidewalk, 5 inches thick, 5 feet wide, up to 5 feet wide. We could do about 1,740 linear feet. It is subject to change because we have different types of sidewalk. If we break through, if we pass, if it's a driveway crossing, it's a thicker sidewalk. It's an increase in square footage price. Same with a monolithic pour curb and sidewalk. It's an increase in square footage price.
Okay. Questions from Gary on Deborah?
Gary, 2 quick things. Firstly, just want to thank you and your crew for getting us through the winter. And in particular for filling in that crater in the cow path. That was greatly appreciated. And just curious, did the fire have any impact on our ability to make this floor reconstruction project happen? I mean, is that going to
Did it
impact
impact it?
a
No.
different area, or will it impact it all?
We're basically back in business almost fully. We moved the electronics bay. We set up a temporary trailer. We're actually going to pave a ramp to it. We have some other ideas for, right now, we are taking in waste oil. It's not in the perfect spot, but right now it's in Bay 1 where the cardboard used to go. So there's no interruption in services up there. And right now, we're going to be putting that slab out to bid. When that slab construction is going on, there will be some issues. We will have a contingency plan.
Okay,
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Questions from audience on the capital items? Ma'am, if you come up to the microphone, please. Just identify yourself, and then there's the mic there.
I'm Representative Bonenberger, 3rd District. I just want to check about the sidewalks, because you mentioned the budget it's for repair, or you're going to put some new sidewalks also for the town, and we have a list of streets where we're going to do this. Thank you.
Did you say you had a list of streets?
No, I'm asking you.
We have, I'm going over the repairs right now. This year, I'm going to concentrate on mostly repairs. We've done some new sidewalks, but we're going to be going around doing the repairs this year of existing sidewalks. And again, upgrading the handicap ramps.
In the past, there's been some grants, at least on state roads, for putting sidewalks, but that's something that maybe on the road, because this really repairs existing sidewalks. And also, P&Z requires sidewalks to be put in on any new developments, so it's
Correct.
just a matter of connecting some of them throughout town.
The past couple of years, we've done a lot through engineering. Kind of working together with a lot of pedestrian connectivity. Maple Street was a big one. We've replaced a lot of sidewalks, old asphalt sidewalks on Pine Orchard Road. There's been several sidewalks that have gone up in the past couple of years. And I know that they worked on finding grants in the past.
Right, okay.
Right now, we have 2 grants for sidewalks. One is in the back of the center, Ivy Street to Main, I believe Ivy Street to Main Street, maybe back up Cedar Street. And then we have a big grant we're working on, and I'm not going to say it'll be finished for this summer, but in Short Beach Road to upgrade and add more sidewalks in that area. It was a grant that came through the state. So we had a meeting about it the other day. It's in process, but as you know, when you get a state grant, there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through, and we'll jump through them and get it done.
Got it, thank you. Other questions on the capital, sir?
Mr. Zelinski, I just want to say thank you for having one of the lowest increases in your budget out of town. How many miles of roadway are we going to be replacing this year?
I could tell you
An approximate, you don't have to give me an exact number.
I'm working on the numbers right now, but last fall, we had to kind of put a stop to the road construction because of our move. So this year, I planned on kind of doubling up on roadways. Right now, we have Florence Road we're working on, Orchard Hill Road. Those are two big ones. We might go into some of the neighborhoods up there. Also, I looked at, hold on, let me think here, I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Are we looking at 80 to 100 miles of roadway?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
There's like
No, I saw the
165
rank.
miles or 170 miles in town.
No, it's probably up to maybe 2 miles, let's say, this spring. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it doesn't get you, the 500 grand doesn't get you
No,
far.
we have other funding sources that we use, and that's what we're planning on doing, especially with Florence Road being it's such bad shape. We've completed a sidewalk job there. We also, before the sidewalk was put in, we did an under drain because we had a water problem there. So now we've knocked all that off, so now we can actually go with replacing the drainage, what needs to be replaced, catch basin tops. We're probably going to rip out most of the curbs along there. There's old concrete curbs that have settled and everything. We'll probably just put bituminous in. But that road there is going to be reclaimed. There's no other way to do it. And same with Orchard Hill. So those are two big ones right there. And Mill and Pave, we have a couple other roads are and Kelly Crest, Nicole Road, Kelly Crest. There's another road off of Kelly Crest. You gotta know that. Come on, you probably heard the complaints. Anyway, so we have several roads we can go into. We're right now planning it. Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
On the budget.
Thank you.
I'll take Tracy and then Dan.
Thank you. Representative Tracy Everson, 5th District. Kudos, Gary, to the crews for all the snow work and the ice and all of that. I've noticed, invariably, the plows hit the curbs. A lot of them have been marked up.
Yeah.
Can you give us a sense of where that money comes from and what your timetable is for fixing those?
We have marked out probably, I want to say, 95% of the curbs that have been damaged. We've already put in a request for a purchase order through our on-call contractor to replace the curbs. We took the money, the funding source was not Town Aid for Roads, was another one.
It's in for Town Aid for Roads, it's municipal revenue sharing.
Municipal revenue sharing.
Municipal grant and aid is one
Yeah,
of those.
that's what we're using.
Thank you.
And you should see that the purchase order is in, so you should see them. They promised me we would be first on the list, but you know how that goes.
Sure. Weather dependent. Dan?
Thank you. Dan Edelman, 4th District Representative, Majority Leader. Just following up on Representative Bonenberger's questions, do you have a designation of how you're going to allocate what sidewalks are going to be repaired, or are you hoping to do that townwide?
We're hoping to do it townwide.
Thank you.
Other questions on the capital items?
Excuse me, can I add to
Sure,
that?
go ahead, Gary.
It's not only just what we assess, we go around and look for problems. We don't like to look for problems, but we look for problems. But it's also complaint-driven, too.
Of course.
When the complaints come in, we go out, we assess it quickly and try to get it on the list.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. I think we're all set, Gary. Move on to docks and recreational facilities.
That's
Page 48 for the operating piece of it. I think that's all.
Yes.
Page 48, let's see. Okay, request is for $22,041, $188 increase.
Yeah, and that increase is contractual.
Okay.
And a part-time, seasonal part-time.
Seasonal part-time.
Yep, and the rest is flat.
And that's really taking them, putting them in, taking them out, fixing them?
Excuse me?
That's putting the docks in, taking them out, repairing them?
Correct,
et cetera?
correct, yeah. And two of the floats down in Stony Creek are pretty much new. That was a project we did 2 years with ARPA funds, mostly ARPA funds. So that's a good thing, because we're not spending as much in materials and repairs.
Questions on this docks and recreational facilities budget? $22,041.
Yeah.
Questions from the audience, RTM members? All set. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Take care. Next up is Willoughby Wallace Memorial Library, page 52. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Okay.
Total request is $321,474.
Yes. Okay. So good evening. Thank you for having me. For those new members and for those both here and watching at home, I'm Jennifer Sullivan, Director of Willoughby Wallace and Stony Creek. I wanted to just remind everybody that Branford is so fortunate to have 2 libraries and that both libraries are open to everyone, and that Willoughby is not just for those who live in Stony Creek. As this is my second Branford budget, many other departments and staff were invaluable in assisting me and the rest of the library staff, both the former and current selectmen, both Cosgrove and Brooks, the entire finance department, which is excellent, all of you on the Board of Finance, the Education Committee of the RTM, as well as the full body of the RTM. We all send our thanks to provide us with the means and support to achieve our goals. I have to give a special thank you also to Brian at GGB for all of his work, especially over the last 6 months at the building, as well as my colleague Katie from the Blackstone for all of their help, ideas, and support. So now on to the budget. I believe this year's request of $321,474 is reasonable. This year's budget, as well as last year's, is really focused on the staff. Sure, a library is books and other materials, but those items do not move, and the building cannot operate without the staff behind the desk, in the program room, or in the stacks. They do more than just check in and check out. They provide reading and viewing recommendations. They are Stony Creek's unofficial ambassadors, providing visitors with all sorts of tourism assistance. They help with printing, copying, and yes, even faxing still. Smartphone glitches, and even telling people the height of the railroad bridge, which is 11 feet 6 inches. As the library world acquires more digital materials, they have to learn how to use related apps and explain to patrons how they work so that their books and audiobooks can be read or listened to on their devices. They collaborate with presenters, speakers, and musicians not only in the neighborhood, but as far away as the other side of the country to bring information and entertainment to our town. And they also work on projects with local history, saving yesterday's memories for the future. The staff that does this work is the smallest town department in its own building, with the least number of full-time employees, yet is open to the public almost 60 hours a week, 7 days a week. We are one of the only libraries in the area to be open on Sundays year-round. The increase of 11.1% for this line item is to bring all of the part-time staff, which the library relies on heavily to operate, to at least $20 an hour. The increase to the full-time staff line is lower due to only the library director receiving a contractual increase at this time. The other one full-time staff member will hopefully have her contract by the summer. The Willoughby is a member of Libraries Online, also known as LION, the consortium of over 30 libraries through the southern and eastern parts of the state that share an operating system using a common database for circulation and cataloging services. Lion also provides a high level of IT support for their member libraries, plus operates a delivery service for sharing materials between libraries, which reduces the number of items each library needs to purchase and store. The overall increase for our library from Lion next year is 3.29%, which is reflected in a few different line items, which I'll touch upon when I get to those particular accounts. Overall, for my non-personnel line items, I'm actually asking for a negative increase, $93 less than last year. So under purchased services, the increase is due to a contractual increase of 5% for the delivery service in between the Lion libraries. Communications will see a decrease due to us having a better handle on how much a full year of phone service will cost. Office supplies will return to the fiscal year '24 request. When I looked back on the last several years, even before I started, we had not needed the full amounts that we had requested. For library books and materials, as well as other supplies, those will all remain unchanged as they have since 2021. Library automation, that increase is due to the contractual increase from Lion, and there are 3 parts to that number. Lion operations in the online catalog, those are both 3% higher than fiscal year '26, and the downloadable books and other digital materials we all share will cost 5% more than fiscal year '26. Memberships and conferences will decrease as we don't need as much, so I'm returning to the fiscal year '24 amount, which had actually been the same since fiscal year '18. So in the end, the total request for fiscal year '27 is just 4.6% over fiscal year '26. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this budget? You're good. Al, you're good. Thank you for your presentation, Jennifer.
Sure.
And questions from the, Dan, go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Dan Edelman again, 4th District Representative. What is the number of employees that you have, staff and salaried?
Salaried or part-time?
Both.
Okay, so there's 2, including me, that are full-time, and then we have currently 8 that are, 6 that are part-time.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions from the, regarding, ma'am? If you come up to the mic, please. Just identify yourself and then.
Tricia Anderson, RTM District 1. Are there any volunteers at your library?
No.
No volunteers, all full-time?
No, because we are town department and we are union. Some of us are union. It is difficult to justify work for volunteers that should be to paid staff.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Other questions on William Wallace operating? Okay.
And no capital.
I think you're all set.
Thank you.
All right, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is James Blackstone Memorial Library, page 51. Welcome, Katie.
All right. Well, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to present the Blackstone Library's budget. My name is Katie McNichol. I'm the director for the Blackstone Library. With me tonight is Christine Yost, our business manager. She replaces Kathy Oxalita, who retired last year after 22 years of service to the library. And thank you to some of the library trustees who are also here tonight. I appreciate their support. For fiscal 2027, the Blackstone Library's total budgeted expenses are $2,060,343, which is a 2.68% year-over-year increase. Unlike the other town departments you review, our budget is our total operating budget, including salaries, employee benefits, materials of the collection, utilities, building and grounds maintenance and repair, and insurance. So we're a single line item in your budget book. You should have gotten kind of a breakdown of summary.
Did we get the detail?
I handed it out the other,
The other
on
night?
Tuesday night.
Oh, it's in that.
And
I have copies if...
Can I have a copy?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
And what you see in the budget book is the operating, capital is in the back, so the increase, the
thank you.
operating is $1,837,000.
I have it, Katie, thank you.
I think he wanted to follow you.
For capital, for that piece.
Okay,
Okay,
got it.
okay.
This is better.
Here we go, okay. So consistent with the last few years, we're requesting from the town 89.2% of the library's operating budget in the amount of $1,837,817, an increase of $48,317 over last year, or 2.7%. Over the past year, we've done some personnel restructuring at the library, which has resulted in some changes that affect multiple expense line items, which I will cover. Since the renovation that we had in 2018, we've had 4 service desks that need staffing all of the 63 hours a week that were open. To better support those staffing needs, we've reduced the number of full-time positions at the library down to 11 from 13, and increased the number of part-time positions up to 14 from 9. We've also added an after-hours cleaning service, the company of which was recommended by the town. We have also reviewed some positions and determined that a number of them need to have their job titles adjusted to better align with the actual duties they perform with industry standard job titles. So a resulting hourly wage increase is being proposed for these positions to better align with industry benchmarking standards for those titles, as well as to meet baseline guidance that was issued by the town. We are also now subject to a Connecticut paid sick leave law that mandates paid sick time for part-time staff. So we're considering this a personnel reset year. All of these changes mean the library is at a stable and appropriate personnel structure that allows us to have adequate staffing at all service desks and to clean and maintain the building in a way that keeps it safe and welcoming for the community, who visited us over 141,000 times last year. To get more specific about the changes, the salaries total is $1,128,300, and that reflects an increase of $57,189. This increase reflects the guidance by the town for unaffiliated part-time staff wages and percentage increases, and for some part-time and full-time staff to have job title and wage adjustments that better align with industry benchmarks. These benchmarks were published in a study conducted by the Employers Association of New England late last year on behalf of the Connecticut Library Association. The employee benefits and insurance line decreased by $121,443, reflecting a reduction in the number of employees eligible for those benefits, as well as some other personnel changes resulting in that reduction. The materials of the collection line total increased $1,000 over last year, up to $113,000. That amount supports print materials, streaming services, digital licenses for ebooks and audiobooks that we lend. Last year, we loaned out over 217,000 items. The utilities total $71,530, which is an increase of $6,504. That reflects an anticipated increase in electricity costs. We do participate in the town's electricity and gas buying program. Costs are just going up across the board. The repairs and maintenance totals $161,000, which reflects an increase of $76,000. This amount includes the regular contractual costs for maintaining the library building and grounds, as well as repairs and maintenance, and we have now added an after-hours cleaning service. Their contractual work falls into this expense line. The addition of the service means we are able to maintain the cleanliness of the public building in a safe way that does not impact service to the public. The building is about 130 years old. Keeping it safe and well-maintained for the future is one of our highest priorities. The insurance for the library totals $51,045, reflecting an increase of $6,045 over last year. This adjustment reflects the increase in premiums for coverage for the library, building, and personal property. Commercial property insurance has risen nationwide. Our insurance premiums have increased as well. Now, in previous years, the library has not budgeted for furniture, fixtures, and equipment, or FF&E, line 65 But we have incurred expenses in that category in recent years. So we wanted to add this as a budgeted line item going forward so that we're better able to plan for ongoing replacement of those FF&E items, which tend to be heavily used in a public building. So we've budgeted an expense in the amount of $20,000 for FF&E. The total of all the other expenses reflects appropriate adjustments made in accordance with spending last year and the first 6 months of this fiscal year. On the income side, along with the Town of Branford operating grant, budgeted income includes fees from printing and lost materials, auditorium rentals, grants, donations, direct appeals, and fundraising events for a total of $125,900. We are also proposing a withdrawal from the endowment of $96,626, which represents a 2.25% increase over last year, and that's in accordance with the commitment by the town administration, Board of Finance, RTM, and the library to ensure a sustainable endowment. Those are the highlights of the operating budget request. The Blackstone continues to be a vital and heavily used community resource. We appreciate the continued opportunity to maintain and provide these spaces for everyone, and thank you for hearing this operating request. I do have a capital sinking fund, but I can wait if there's questions on operating.
Let's just talk about this, Katie and Christie. Question on the repairs and maintenance for cleaning. What did you do in the past on that?
For a long time, we had a full-time facilities person. When that person left the library, by the time that person had left, we had started adding in a very part-time cleaning service after hours. We have one set of public bathrooms, and so when the bathrooms had to be cleaned, they would have to be shut down if they were doing it during the day. So the after hours meant that they could do that part and do some mopping without impacting traffic. Over time, the full-time person left, so we expanded the number of hours that the cleaning service did, and then we hired a part-time facilities manager. So they're there 4 or 5 hours a day during the day, taking care of anything that comes up, and then the cleaning service comes in once we're closed for an hour, hour and a half each night.
Oh, it just seems like a big jump for 1 year.
It's been, we've had a lot of changes in these last year. We've had people retire, and so we had some funds that we were we had an open part-time personnel position for a while, and we were using those funds to pay some of the after-hours cleaning service as a test. Once it seemed like it was a good idea, we started making these shifts. So it's just been a lot of moving parts in the budget.
It's showing up now on this line item, but it was paid for other sources.
Yep. Yeah.
Just to put it into perspective, just the cleaning without the $76,000 increase for repairs and maintenance, just the cleaning for our building in an annual basis is $66,000 is what we pay.
Questions from the board on this budget? Questions? Okay. Questions from the RTM members, members of the public, audience? Okay, no takers on that. We'll move to capital.
Okay. So for the capital.
What pages are we on? Let's see.
51.
51.
So it's just a sinking fund request.
I'm looking at page 51, must be another.
57.
57, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Just making sure you're all paying attention.
yeah, thank you. Okay, I see it. 30,000?
30,000, yeah. And that's just for building contingencies. The sinking fund was established, I believe, back in 2021. It's been funded each year. We've used it for technology upgrades, building contingencies. This year, we're focusing just on building contingencies, knowing that we have this facilities assessment that we're starting. We're anticipating kind of using this money to address some of the smaller projects that might come out of that.
Okay. Can you give us an update on the building?
Sure.
On your process? I think you're doing some assessments now?
We are. We have, so we started this facilities assessment project. We signed an agreement with architects to conduct and organize the conducting of the assessment. The assessment is going to start May 4th. So they've assembled a team of engineers, structural, mechanical, and they're going to be combing the building, looking at the envelope, looking at the interior, focusing on the areas that we shared with the town that we saw as kind of the highest priority with water infiltration from the bottom, from the sides, from the top. We don't exactly know the specific source, so there's going to be some core samples drilled. The assessment phase is anticipated to be a few days with a window of no more than 2 weeks. Then they're going to go and review all the findings, and we anticipate having a draft report around August, September.
Okay. Questions on capital or any other related questions from the board members? Okay, we'll go with Fran and then Deborah.
Please, go right ahead.
Or Deborah, then Fran.
Katie, there was an issue that we talked about a while ago about a specific problem on the first level with water encroachment. Is that something that needs an imminent fix, or is that part of this assessment, or where are we?
That was really the impetus for this assessment. There have been some other identified issues, but that was the biggest, seems to be the biggest thing.
Is that related to the new addition?
It's not a part of the new addition. It's the original basement floor. There's a couple of parts of the concrete floor of the basement that it seems as if water is coming up from the ground and pushing the salts and the minerals of the concrete up to the top, which is dissolving this gypsum subfloor. So the carpet tiles, the adhesive is actually coming away from that carpet floor. It's not, we're not dealing with puddles, but there is a water incursion, yeah. So we saw that and we thought, we can't see exactly what is happening, so we need to drill. The core samples will confirm, is it minerals coming up? They're going to look at, the structure of the walls. That basement is below grade level. The walls are not dripping wet, so it's not really obvious what's happening, so they're going to have to take a look and see. And then there's just other areas that we've identified kind of over the years that are continual problems that we don't want them to get worse. So the flat roofs are probably coming up to their end of life. The boilers are probably coming up to their end of life, and so we want a complete picture of what's happening with the building so that we can come up with a plan of this needs to be done right now. This can wait. This you start planning for 10 years from now.
Can I just add to that? The architects will come back with a plan of what needs done immediately, and then like 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and it should come back in August.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Fran, you had a question?
It was more, not so much of a finance, just a question. You said 141,000 visitors last year. I'm just curious, what is the demographic of that? Do you have any idea? Or do you keep track of that?
Who is visiting us?
Who walks in, yeah.
We librarians, our top priority is privacy, so we don't track people as they come in. But we have story time programs for babies. We have, we have everybody. We have everybody.
I would say all demographics.
Yeah, there's really no way to know. We have come in the afternoon, and it's students and tutors. We have adult programs that generated, I think, over 10,000 people in attendance for our adult programs, something around 9,000 for our kids' programs. So we get a lot of everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Josh, you have something to say?
I just want to add on the operating side that this was the first budget I heard, and when they first came to me, I think it was a 0.2% increase, maybe a little bit more, 0.3, and it's my fault that it went to a 2.7. So I would like to commend them that they were concerned and were trying to reflect as best they could and honor the town in that way. Again, my philosophy is that we need to pay the part-time people a healthy, livable wage, or as close as we can get. I don't think $20 an hour is that, but so again, I just wanted to point that piece out, and that's it.
Thank you, Josh. Other questions, I guess, on the budget or capital? Tracy, you want to come up? Where's the mic?
Representative Tracy Everson, 5th District. Hi, Katie. On your facilities study, are you going to look at where the gutter leaders go next to the building? Are they clay pipes? Are they, it's
They're
an
gonna
old
look at
building? They're going to look at that?
They're looking at everything.
Okay, if the water's coming right down next to the wall. Got it, thanks.
Hopefully it's not self-inflicted. Got it. Other questions? John, you have a question?
And just what's the cost of the assessment that's going to be done? That's already budgeted, I'm sure, but.
They came to us. It's $164,000. The library has a couple of bequests that we're planning to put the money up. At some point, if we come before the town and there's a conversation about taking on some percentage of that, we would certainly appreciate that, but.
It's actually not in our operating budget. 164 is not part of the operating budget.
So you're hoping to get requests from?
We have
some?
We have requests.
Okay.
What do we budget for that, Catherine?
It is not in the budget currently. For the study?
No, I know it's not
Okay.
budgeted, but didn't we allocate some funds for that?
We did not.
We did not, okay.
There has been a discussion that at some point, perhaps, and I was hoping to wait till the end of the budget to find some money to help with that study, because I do think we as a town, while they did get bequests some money, I think they could use some of that money in other spots, and we as a town, I think, owe it to them to, that's a building that is, I think it's right here. No, it's on our seal, and so we ought to chip in on that.
There was, last year, I think it was, Jim had come and recommended, it was $400,000.
Yeah, I think we've had a reserve.
Yeah,
Fund
yeah.
balance on that.
I believe that was
Yes, I'm
for-
sorry. Is that what you were talking about? I
Right.
apologize.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We had discussion on it last year.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. 'Cause
Yeah.
didn't remember exactly what we did. Dan, you have a question?
Yes, Dan Edelman again, 4th District Representative, Majority Leader. Is there endowment money that you have?
We do.
Okay, and how much is that?
Our treasurer is in the audience. He can answer that question.
So we look at it in two.
Could you come up here, please? Could you come up so we can hear? And we need the mic, the audio on this one. Thank you. And you're the treasurer. Welcome.
This is Larry Greenberg.
Thank you, Larry Greenberg. Yeah, so we look at the endowment in two pieces, actually. A main endowment is approximately $4.9 million, and then we have a smaller piece that's $614,000. Excuse me. It's a creative in residence project, and those are restricted funds. So if you added everything up together, it's about $5.5 million.
And thank you, sir. And the 4.9 million, what is that money? What are those monies used for?
Well, so what Jim and a couple of years ago worked, Jim Finch and Catherine and Town Hall worked with the library board about maybe 5 years ago, maybe more than that, and to look at it because of the question of the long-term sustainability for the endowment fund. And so the agreement was back then is that it's invested conservatively but well, and it also then throws off money annually in order to supplement the budget. So that's where you see the 96,000.
And that's the 96.
And that's really, and so the part of it, just like a retirement account to some extent, you take, less than 3% or whatever, 3 or 4%. The amount was the 2.25 was the agreement based on a conservative estimate as what it was going to produce and throw off.
And is that agreement codified somewhere? Or
No, it isn't. There's documentation, and there was a study that, again, there was a pretty extensive time period that was spent on it, but that was the outcome of it.
And without suggesting an answer to the inquiry, has it ever been discussed about any of those endowment monies being used for any capital improvements or any other? I mean, I know there was a big roof project, for instance.
But what will happen over the years, it would have been wiped out based on all the work that the town has done on the library since, the early 80s, let's say. So that conversation has come up, but I think the approach is to keep the endowment intact because of, again, it's quasi-municipal, but it's private, foundation.
And is the yearly amount figured proportionally to what the expenses are, what the budget requests are for any particular year, or at least the increase in the budget from one year to the next?
Not necessarily. I think it was based on a conservative draw off the endowment.
Of the investment.
Off the investment.
Right.
And knowing that, again, trying to keep the number. And that was always a question for many, many years as to what percentage is does the town pay? Should the library become a town department? I mean, over the many years, those questions have come up time and time again.
Think, yeah.
And the latest one was, again, that Jim helped spearhead with, I think, Jamie, in order to look at it. And at that point in time, the consensus was across the board was keep the endowment fund operating, invested conservatively, and have this drawdown. So that's really where...
Right, and I think that I understand that. I just think that the amount of the drawdown on a yearly basis perhaps could be tied to some percentage of what the...
Well, it could be, but the point was they didn't want to draw off a principal. Again, I haven't seen we can get that information.
And that may not include drawing off a principal, what I said. But.
Very true. So right. I don't have all of that information, but we can ask...
I would think that would be a reasonable inquiry to look at, to see if the drawdown number is proportional and if that would affect the principal and if the rate of return would be enough to draw.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So if you can get us information with regards to your investment activities.
So you want the drawdown as a percentage of the budget or the actual endowment itself?
I don't want anything. I just think that the amount that is contributed on a yearly basis from the endowment is what is that percentage to the budget request or the increase year to year in the budget request, and is that being fluctuated and adjusted in comparison proportionally to what the increase on a yearly basis is?
Well, the short answer is probably no.
The short answer is definitely no. From what you said, the inquiry is
that's the question.
So I would
to maintain the predictability. And allow the endowment to grow.
I understand, but depending on what that percentage of increase is, may or may not affect that predictability on a yearly basis.
We can get some more information. The Board of Finance will take a look at it. Okay?
Thank you.
Other questions? And back, if you can come up to the mic, I'd appreciate it. And identify yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Michelle Blank. I'm a trustee at the Blackstone Library and the chairperson of the Building and Grounds Committee.
Hi, Michelle.
So I just wanted to circle back to the question about the facilities study and to, oh my God, I wanted to come back. What did I want to come up and say? Right, thank you, the 400,000. So basically the study that we're doing at this point, we are funding, right? We have not yet gotten any funds from the town. The 400,000 that was discussed previously was not actually for the study. It was that we knew that we were going to have to do repairs, right? And of course the study was going to give us the guidance that we needed to see what is the prioritization of those studies, those being having to done immediately, maybe relating to water infiltration, those that have to do floor. So I just didn't want to confuse those two, that the 400,000 was definitely not for the facilities study.
I understand it. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification as well. Okay. Any other questions for the library, either operating or capital or future water issues?
Anything else?
You're good? All right, well, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you. Thank you. Okay, next up is shifting gears here to school-age childcare. It's on, I guess we have page 63. Welcome, Lauren and Blaze. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, so this is a self-funded special fund, and the budget request is for $762,661. Would you like to walk through the highlights of it for us, Lauren?
Hi, I'm Lauren Scoltetti. I'm the Director of Early Childhood for the school district. Our school-age child care program serves approximately 160 kids from pre-K through current grade 6. That's about 10 more than we had last year. As you mentioned, it is self-sustaining. As more kids come, more tuition comes in, that money goes towards staffing to make sure that we have appropriate ratios for safe supervision. We also have been able to expand a little bit. Last year, we only had 3 sites where we were able to offer programming. That was at the 3 elementary schools. This year, we have been able to offer it at Indian Neck for our pre-K kids, and the thought is that will continue. There has been, even throughout the course of this year, there has been increased need to keep our little ones at Indian Neck before and after school. So this is a way for families. We are open from 7 a.m. until school starts, and then after school until 6 o'clock. Slight difference at the pre-K site, but our working families in town need our support. Reasonable childcare.
Okay, sure. Questions from the board on this self-sustaining Board of Ed sponsored fund and activity? Anything else, Blaze, you'd like to provide, or are you good?
No, I think Lauren did a great job covering it, and I appreciate Catherine's partnership.
You might want to mention the use of fund balance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a couple mechanics, too. I always get criticized for talking too much, so I was trying not to, but I will gladly do it.
From Catherine or somebody else?
From everybody. Yeah, especially the whole back wall over there.
All right, so keep it short.
Yes, I'll keep it very short. So this again proposes in the budget, just so you can follow the top, it does propose an overdraw. So fund balance brought forward, and we're proposing less than what we proposed this past year. We're projected to not even end up using what we even planned on using for the overdraw because of with vacancies and tuitions coming in stronger than expected. But for the purposes of budgeting, we have an overdraw projected on fund balance. We have a really healthy fund balance. Part of the goal, too, that Lauren's been doing is to stabilize and do smaller tuition increases if we don't need to, since the fund balance is so healthy on the SAC fund. So that's kind of the main mechanic here. Other than that, everything in the budget, on this budget, remains very similar year to year.
Okay, good. Any other questions or comments? Questions from RTM members of the public? Okay, very good. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Next up is Adult Ed on page 62. Total request is $81,000. Again, self-sustaining.
Before I sit down,
Well,
actually.
sure.
So hi, I'm Christine Bjork. I'm the Director of Shoreline Adult Education. And we've had a number of changes since this budget has been submitted. So I brought a revised copy. Would that be okay to share?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
While Christine's passing that out, to give some context, part of the reason for the changes are after the Board of Ed voted, but they're in relation to when we were here for the adjustments for the launch of the enrichment pilot program, where we were increasing the revenue and increasing the tuition. We've made part of those will be some non-substantive changes with how we're going to hire staff. We were originally going to hire third-party, this is a town-based, fund. We were going to hire third-party providers to do that, and instead, you'll see that we're hiring more certified staff in her revised budget here. We're going to hire like our own teachers directly, and because we're really one entity, even though we have two separate tax IDs, we're still one legal entity, so we really should be keeping our own staff hired kind of directly because of how it's being treated. So those are some of the biggest reasons for the changes that we might ask the Board of Finance to make in the adopted version. But otherwise, this is Christine's show. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So this is a pretty big change from the budgets that we've normally been submitting year after year. And so there's two big changes that are happening, and I think Blaise just talked about that. But so we are piloting an elementary enrichment program this year that we have budgeted to then institute for next year. We have it budgeted so that there's a possibility of 3 sessions, a possibility of at least 6 classes in each of the elementary schools. And that would be supported by certified teachers, which is why there's such an increase in the certified salary line. The other program that we are working on is developing a para-educator preparation program to help for a pipeline for the district. And so that is where we'll also be having certified staff in those positions as well. So that's where that big salary increase is coming from. In the non-certified line, it includes our adult enrichment coordinator. It also includes a site assistant and the para pathways proctor, testing proctor. So that would be the increase in that. The increase in the benefit line is because of the certified staff to accommodate that. And then we also did increase the professional and technical services to allow for outside entities to also be able to offer classes for the elementary enrichment for next year. And then postage and advertising stayed the same. The other increase was supplies. So instructional supplies, again, for the elementary enrichment program for next year. Textbooks for the para-educator courses that we hope to offer at least twice next year with certified staff. And that is about it. Bank services, that's the other area, because we have many more people taking classes, so more credit card fees. So
This is all tuition paid by
all tuition-based. So if we don't end up running all like 6 classes at each location, then the revenue is not as high, but the expenses are not there as well. So it's self-funded.
How many students do you anticipate on this?
So we are thinking, we're hoping for like at least 10 in each class. So times 6 classes, 60 students, times 3 places, 180. So we'll see. It's a very ambitious project, and it's probably going to need to start small and work up. But we're going for ambitious.
That's exciting.
It's proactive too. Christine's done a lot of work here, but we can, if you follow any of the federal, news about adult ed, it's not, there's some questions up in the air about the future of some of the adult ed programs. And so by kind of shifting the kind of view of adult education on this side, on the enrichment side, where there's a lot more flexibility that we have tuition-based programs, can we be thinking of Shoreline continuing education instead of like adult education and build some, there's the same overhead for certain parts of the program to make us a little bit less susceptible to potential federal reductions in support, so that we wouldn't have like a destructive pathway of some of those changes. And so this way we can kind of maybe leverage, like some other districts might do, is leverage some of their enrichment programming and funding to help kind of stabilize the overall adult education programming. And then it will hopefully fill a need. And I want to give Christine to her team a shout out because they've coordinated closely with Parks and Recreation and the other types of programming that we have going on to really make sure that we have different offerings and that we're doing them all sort of in conjunction with one another.
Questions from the board? Questions? Questions from the RTM members? John?
So if I understand, you're rolling out a brand-new program, is that right? Yes. It would be helpful to have one sheet that says, here's the components of the program, here's how many staff, here, you know, so that it's all broken out rather than subsumed in an ongoing program, because it's very difficult to make any kind of comparisons. But it sounds like a great idea. That the question is, what's it look like
Sure.
as it's, you know, because it's brand new.
They could maybe provide a narrative at some point.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Description might be
If you
helpful.
send it to me, Christina, I can get it with the new budget
Okay.
to all the RTM and to Alberta Line, who is attending remotely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Comes under your umbrella, and maybe just expand on the narrative a little bit.
Yeah, we can do that, but it's the main driver, John, for most of the changes in this budget, so we can provide some more. And you'll see that it's a lot of, you know, part of it is going to be assumptions on participation that you'll
Sure,
be seeing
I
because
understand.
we're
I'm
doing
just
some pilot.
thinking, it's a new program.
Yeah.
It's
fundamentally
if you were
different.
going to run it standalone, what would
Yeah.
it look like?
Yeah.
It's part of your offering going forward, great.
Yep.
But just to give an idea of what's the impact on
Yeah.
this overall? What's it look like?
We can do that.
Great.
Christine has it all. It's
Yeah, absolutely, I'm sure you do.
we can do that.
Knowing you, I know you got it.
Other questions on this presentation? If not, Christine, I think we're all set.
Thank you.
Thanks, Blaze.
Thank you.
Next up is Board of Ed.
Stay right there.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Before we start with the Board of Ed, just a quick comment, if I could.
Sure.
I'm Kevin Healy. I'm a 7th District RTM member. And whereas everyone here tonight has one of the budget booklets for the Board of Ed tonight and the Committee for Education, most of the RTM members do not have the book. The book was apparently emailed to us just on Monday, which I now have that email.
Okay.
But considering we're the ones who are going to ratify this budget, we should have a book. And the fact that, honestly, that we don't have the book looks deceptive.
Okay, well.
So the book should come to us. And honestly, I also don't need the ones with the pictures and the fluff and buff. Black and white will be fine, save some money.
Board of Ed, you're talking about?
Correct, the Board of Ed.
Board of Ed budget.
The RTM members.
Okay.
Again, we don't have the copy of that.
Okay.
So we can get that, because then tonight,
Sure.
I'm just hearing a presentation, not actually looking at numbers. So that kind of puts a damper for what I can
Thank you.
ask questions on.
Okay, thank you,
very much.
Kevin. Why don't we start with that? Availability of books for the RTM?
So typically, we have shared a book with the Board of Finance, RTM Education, and the chairs of RTM after this meeting, once we have an actual number, because there could be changes between now and the RTM, we do one more transmittal to the full RTM. So we typically don't do the books because there could be changes. So each layer we give to the people that we've always thought need to see the book at that stage. So we can certainly make changes. The other part, just in respect to transparency, because that's been a significant priority. So I do want to make it clear that there's no attempt to not be transparent with our communications. We have a page of our website where every single communication related to the budget is posted within 12 hours of the presentation, from slide deck to videos to an FAQ of every question anyone asks us about the budget. So I just want to make sure the narrative is clear.
Fine, thanks, Chris. Is that available in PDF, the budget?
Yes, this whole book is in PDF. It's been up for 2 months on the Board of Ed website.
Okay.
So we're just doing some technical things. We're going to see if we can pin our presentation up so it's viewable. As I was sitting, anyone whose email address I had, I was trying to shoot you the presentation in case you wanted to look on the device that you had. So anyone's that I had handy in the room, if I didn't have it, I apologize. If you have someone who's in the room and you can share it with them, that would also be great, if that's helpful to you. But it looks like we might be okay with this share.
Okay. Blaze is the driver on this? Or, okay. Where do you want to start?
Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. We appreciate this opportunity, as always, and we also appreciate the partnership with the town. I do want to thank some board members that we have here. Sean Tiernan, Amanda Henry, and Megan DeLucia are all here. In the process, I'm always hesitant to name people because I forget people, so I'm going to do some more categories instead. But I just want to thank the central office team, the admin team, because they put a lot into this. Lila Berry, who's in our finance department, and she's here tonight. And then the administrative cabinet, that's Charles Ciccarello, who's our chief of student support services, Allie Moran, who's assistant superintendent. It's also her birthday, and she's here with us for this presentation. Yes, happy birthday, Allie. You get to come to a meeting on your birthday. And especially to Blaze, who is just a wonderful partner, especially when it comes to things like creativity, innovation, and finance. And he's just a great person and a wonderful friend, so I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I'll drive this.
Likes to press his own button.
I do. All right, so as far as what we will cover, we have some background information. Just to set the stage, we like to talk about the demographics, some overview, what the investments are, the summary of the ask, some other funds, and then talking about capital as well. I used this slide last year to launch, and I referenced a movie that I'm sure you all ran out and watched after the presentation. It is the 1987 classic Back to the Beach with Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello. And I mention it because it's all about catching this wave in Hawaii. It's called the Humunga Cowabunga from Down Under. And I still think the metaphor is relevant, that we are working very hard to catch the wave, and that's where we are right now. And it's important that we are moving at the speed that we are, because if we don't, it will be too late. And those of you that have worked with me know that the status quo is not okay. So that has been the team that I think we're building together. And the reason why we're at a point where there's a little bit of struggle, because every single department within the Board of Education has changed significantly in the past 3 years. So there's not one person that works in Branford that can't say it feels different than it did 3 years ago, because we're operating differently and our standard operating procedures are different. And I want to name that because I need to thank everybody for going with the flow, because most people don't like change, and people in education especially don't like change. So I thank them for coming along for the ride anyway. As far as what our guiding documents are, we really rely on our mission, our vision, and our core beliefs. And with our mission, I just wanted to mention the changing global society, because we talk very much about how much the world has changed, how much kids have changed, but what schools look like just hasn't really changed at the same rate. And if we are going to meet the needs of students today, we need to make those changes to accommodate those needs. Speaking of change, something that we changed last year was our global learning competencies. Those are the 7 in the circle, which might look familiar to you because we adopted the 7 habits of highly effective people as our global learning competencies. And those are the habit skills, I'll say the attributes we want all of our students to embody by the time they graduate from the Branford Public Schools. And we are doing that through the implementation of a program called Leader in Me. I know the font is very small. This is just to make the visual point that this is not budget season, that every season is budget season, and you see that little sticker that says every season is budget season. That is a true sticker that lives on Blaze's door. We are in the process of the budget all year long, and as soon as we have this budget, we have about maybe 1 or 2 months of reprieve before we're starting the timeline and the planning for the next year. So this is certainly ongoing. As far as budget preparation, these are some of the drivers for us as we're going through the process. I'll focus on only one, which is the one along the bottom, being aligned to the strategic coherence plan. As you know, we are in year 3 of a 5-year strategic coherence plan. So we're about halfway through, and that means when we present our budget next year, we'll be looking at the process for engaging in the goals for the next 5 years for the district. Another driver that we look at is the enrollment. How many students we have certainly has an effect on our planning. We had an enrollment study completed in June of 2024, and we have one that is just about finished, so we'll have updated numbers looking at our 10-year enrollment. Last time we had the study done, it was showing pretty stable enrollment for the district, and the way that the data is presented is we look at the low, medium, and high, and we typically plan for the medium, so that would be a 0 change. But you can see the fluctuation is, it could be low, 112 students lower or up to 142 students higher in the last time the study was done. Just in case you're curious, our enrollment by school, Branford High School is currently at 729, and one of the challenges that we face through our master facilities plan is Branford High School can accommodate about twice as many students, if not a little bit more. So that's been a challenge as we're working on our planning for the future. The other number I'll point out here is John B. Sliney is at 237 students. So when we were going through that master facilities planning process, for a while, I think people thought, well, let's just build a new Sliney, let's just build a new Sliney. But we've come to find that when you build a new school for 237 students, that's not really an effective use of funds. Schools should be about 350 students minimally in order for it to be a return on investment for the cost of the size. To level set for demographics, this is what Branford is looking like as of October 1st in our schools. So you can see our student demographics breakdown here, with 64.8% students white and 6.4 students identifying as Asian. So that data is there for a quick reference as well. We are really considering how are students actually performing, because that is one of the most important things we do, obviously, is work on their achievement and focus on teaching and learning. So we point this out not because it shows that we are in a great spot, but it shows that we have work to do. This is our SBA performance, which is the Smarter Balanced Assessment. It is not the only assessment that matters, but it is one of the most public-facing assessments that we have. So this is the one that we tend to pull out. We aspire in 2.5 years for that red line, that's Branford, to be in the top third of our district reference group. That's the DRG. It's often called a DIRG. So we are trying to go from, we're in the middle for ELA, and we are in the bottom third for math. That represents data 3 through 8. And then when you look at our SAT, we are in the middle for ELA and the middle for math as well. So we are aspiring to be in the top third of our district reference group. Our high needs population, this shows the change in the district from 2014. So if you look at multilingual learner, our current count is 210, which represents 8.4% of our population. But if you look at Branford in 2014, that was 3.8% of the population. Special education has gone from 13.3 in 2014 to almost 16% now. Our free and reduced lunch has gone from 24% to 34%. And outplay services, that's students who we pay a tuition for them to be educated out of district because we cannot meet their academic needs here, has gone from 27 to 35. So this is the ask for operating is $72,758,591, which is a 5.2% increase over last year. This also assumes $700,000 in non-lapsing funds. You might remember a few years ago, there was legislation that passed that allows boards of education to set aside 2% of their operating funds and roll it over, for lack of a better description, to be used the next year. Our approach has been not to do that unilaterally. We like to do that in partnership with the town, so you know that we are making an attempt to be transparent about the work that we're trying to do. The $700,000 represents about 1% of our operating from last year, or from this current year, looking into next year. Revenue that we anticipate is education cost share and special ed excess cost. These relate to formulas based on the state funding back for the education cost share is a formula from the state, and special ed cost is specifically based on students whose services cost more than the services of a typical student. So we get a reimbursement rate based on that. This graph shows the summary of the budget. Pointing out in the top corner, you see 75% there. 75% of the total budget is related to our employee salaries and benefits. So that leaves a relatively small amount of discretionary spending for us. The budget pressures that we're facing this year, and these are not unique to Branford, I'm sure if you're reading any news and listening out there, health insurance and property insurance increases are significant. Our labor contracts are predetermined, so we know what is happening there. Special education out-of-district tuition and transportation increase for the out-of-district tuition has gone up significantly. In general, we have a significant contractual transportation increase. In part, that's due to our accelerated electrification timeline, which I can talk more about. And then there is a significant increase in the lease fund and workman's comp contributions. So in general, our budget goals here are really to strengthen teaching and learning. We want to expand our student support systems to meet the increasing academic, social, emotional, and special education needs, and really ensure student safety. So those were the three drivers that determined our budget. And now to talk about some of the investments that we're making. The first one is about universal access to meals. So there's a $392,000 ask in the budget. Universal access means that all students in Branford would receive access to free breakfast and free lunch at the cost of $392,000. I'll also mention that in the governor's current budget, there is a provision for free breakfast. So that could provide some relief, about $56,000 relief if that moves through, and it is so far moving through successfully. The reason that this has been a priority of the board. There's lots of benefits to this. One of the reasons is it removes the stigma of what it means to receive free and reduced lunch. And when all students are receiving free and reduced lunch, it results in more participation of the students who actually really financially need the free and reduced lunch. The other reason is when you think about how students qualify, it falls into brackets, and we have a large population of students who are close to qualifying that don't qualify. So if you think about like the economic quintiles of how the country divides, we're really looking at typically the bottom two quintiles qualify, but when you look at that middle quintile, many families, especially that have multiple children, are very much in need of that support as well. Students who are fed are thought to be more prepared to learn, so that would take out that variable for many students, and it also eliminates the debt that schools are required to chase down for students who don't pay for meals because they can't, and legally we have to resolve that debt in one way or another. And it's a support for all working families in Branford, and that is why it was a priority of the board. There are also significant investments in teaching and learning. First, we are adding a FTE for elementary STEM. This would really bring back science instruction for kindergarten and first grade. Almost all science instruction at the elementary level is introduced through our STEM teachers. It's not delivered by the classroom teacher. Without this position, we have 2 grade levels that are not receiving science instruction, which is not great. And science is also a tested area, and we want to make sure we're providing appropriate instruction there. If you remember I think my first year, so it was fiscal year 25, we did eliminate most of the instructional coaches in the district, which was over an $800,000 in elimination of positions, and we created teacher leadership positions through stipends. That was a significant savings, but we have just a couple of, I'll call them holes, of where we don't have specific content areas represented and curriculum is lagging. So these positions, which this is a very low cost number, I think it's maybe $12,000 for these positions to fill those gaps. We have some new courses at the high school really trying to develop career pathways for students, knowing that not all students are college bound. Many students are going into the career, and we want to provide opportunities that are preparing students for wherever they would like to go next. And all of our new courses in early enrollment numbers are looking great, and there's been a lot of interest. Our Leader in Me program is our primary way of addressing behavior and student social needs, and that expands to the high school next year with the plan for elementary the following. We are also looking to expand our math curriculum resources into the middle school next year. This year we had a new math program pre-K through 4, and it has been very successful, and we're seeing some positive results much quicker than we expected, and hopefully that trend continues. And then last but not least, our full-day pre-K, continuing to maintain that pathway for ultimately what we hope to be universal pre-K in the town. Safety and security is the other priority I mentioned in Goal 3 for this year. Last year, we funded the Director of Security position that has been very successful, and I mention that because Scott Reardon, who's our director, has really done a great job with residency verification, and we've had currently 24, or is it 34? 34 like open investigations looking at residency, and we've had over a dozen people transition out because residency was not verified. So that's an important thing, and only fair to the taxpayers of the town. There's also a continued investment in student support services. As I mentioned, we've gone from about 13% to 16% since 2014 of special education rate, and we, to help strategize, we did a third-party evaluation with NSK 1-2. So we're finalizing those results. They'll be presented to the board soon, and that will help with our strategic planning efforts to address student support services. And we also have some investments in athletics. And I do want to announce the board appointed our new athletic director last night, Brian Zach Lukowitz, who is a teacher in the department. He has been interim for the past year. I think interim is, it's always unique to be an interim because you get a year-long job interview if you ultimately want to do that. He had his year-long interview. He also had committee interviews, and he was appointed last night. He's done a really good job, and he's shown that he can make some hard decisions. And this morning, I got a message that he won the Outstanding New Athletic Administrator Award for the Connecticut Association of Athletic Directors. So that's a nice first day on the job, is to get an award for being the outstanding one. So congratulations to Brian, and we're excited about the good things that he will do. The other investment when it comes to athletics is we are looking at a full-time athletic trainer. So we have expanded game coverage, and we're looking at a person who can support and develop strength and conditioning programs for our athletes, which is much needed. And the investment in communications. With our strategic plan, this is strategic plan goal 3, and communications just about everywhere is a challenge because it's not, I'm a little bit of a broken record on this. It's not just about how you communicate, is do the people receive your communication, do they read it once they get it? So those are all of the challenges, but we're continuing to strategically partner on communications and our rebranding efforts, which include our new logo, which is very nice, and trying to meet the needs of the community and finding out how people want to receive communications. I will also plug, there's this very popular podcast out there called Hive Mind Headlines, the podcast. So that's the superintendent's podcast. And I think we have tens of listeners out there, including my mom and my sister. But seriously, we did, episode 2 was focused on our cell phone policy and the Yonder pouches. And Yonder is the company that provided our pouches because we won a contest last year. If you remember, that's how, that was kind of a catalyst how this started. They are picking up the podcast for their international newsletter. So the podcast might really get famous. That's what I'm thinking. And if,
Jim and I.
If that doesn't do it, then Blaze and Jim did our episode 3 on budget. So if you want to know about municipal and school budgets, you can listen to episode 3 of the Hive Mind Heads podcast. It's available on Spotify. It's Apple Podcast. You can listen to it on YouTube or the superintendent's page of the Branford Public Schools website. I make no money from the podcast, just to be on the record on that. All right, the 2026, 2027, we call this the step graph, and this just shows how we got to the number we got to. So all the way to the left, the $69.2 million, that was last year's operating budget. And you can see with GWI, that's general wage increase, and the step, for those that aren't familiar with step, in many labor contracts in education, people move up and over. So you move up for your general wage increase, and you might move over a lane because now you have 5 years of experience and not 4 years of experience. The other, the $1.295 million are the benefits, and those two make up the 75% that we have mentioned. And then we have transportation, special education, and inflationary adjustment. Then we did $1.368 million in reductions, and then the new investments that I just mentioned are $643,000, and then other non-instructional are $74,488, which gets us to this year's request. The drivers and increases, this shows that middle column is the percentage. So if you look at the 39 and the 36 for wage increase and benefits, that's the percentage that those items make up of the total increase. So that's saying that 75% of the 5.2% increase comes from those items. And if you look down at the reductions, 38% was reduced in order to get to the 5.2. This is the budget and inflation. We used this last year, but the blue line shows the budget from historical 2017 to 2027. The solid yellow line represents the adjustment for inflation, and it just shows that our purchasing power has decreased over time. There's been certainly some improvements the past few years, but we're still showing a $3.2 million gap in funding. And again, that is a total ask of $72,758,591, or a 5.2% increase. And I have capital next, but we can pause and talk operating if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. And questions on the operating side for the Board of Finance? Okay. No questions up here. I guess we've all looked at the budget and still absorbing it, so there may be questions in the future on that. Questions from the, we have Frank and the RTM member.
Frank. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm Frank Toohill, RTM Representative, 1st District. I would like to state that this is an excellent book that I've read thoroughly. It's very detailed. It's got a lot of information in it. I believe the Branford Public Schools are in the right direction, that the quality is going up. I also feel it's very important that we get into the top third of our DIRG. I mean, we presently, it's not the fault of Dr. Tramberg or Blaze, but we're too low, and we've got to get our student quality education up. I'd also like to compliment that the board and the superintendent looked into residency, which was a topic that concerned me very much. I have seen school buses picking up students at the truck stop. They stay in the cars with the parents, and then when the school buses arrive, they get in the bus. They also do this at some of the condo projects that I've seen. So I'm glad to hear that, 32 cases were investigated and 12 were found to be non-residents. I don't believe the Branford taxpayers should have to pay for non-residents for the public schools. I'm also very concerned and also very complimentary about the idea that, not all of our students are going to college, and that they should be educated in school for their own career paths, too. And if you read their great presentation book on page 37, they say that they have developed career pathways, including, very important, business studies, arts, AV technology, communications, hospitality, and tourism are all really good fields that you don't need college for. My question to Dr. Tranberg is, I believe as I recall, last year, we talked about this, and you talked about all the great career paths that our students now have, which I think is wonderful. My question is, I think we talked about the path for a CNA. How's that going, Dr. Tranberg?
I would say it's excellent. So we have our first CNA class graduation happening, I think it's next week. Oh, I'm looking at Megan because her daughter is one of the graduates of the program. It has been wildly successful. The registrations are very high for next year, and it's not just the CNA program itself, it's an entire track built out on medical professions. So there are other elective courses, and then there's core courses in science related to medical professions that students can take. So the idea is, yes, you can get your CNA and be career ready, but you can want to go pre-med and do CNA, so you are really immersed in the content of the discipline when you're in school. So we're trying to make, even though it looks like it's a trade-ready profession, there's also a college path that goes with it, and so it's gone really well. And I also, if I can, Mr. Tuhill, comment on, if you see people at a rest stop, sometimes those are designed for magnet schools, so don't do a citizen's arrest that they're, because it could be like a Platt bus stop or something like that. So that could be by design. So if you're concerned, give us a call and we'll verify.
All right. Okay, that's great. Well, thank you very much. So I would just like to say, Mr. Chairman, in conclusion, I believe that the Board of Finance and the RTM gave the Board of Ed an increase of, I believe it was 5.9% last year. I mean, they're asking for, it's come down. They're asking for 5.2% this year. And so I would urge that the Board of Finance fully fund the Board of Ed's request. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
You're welcome.
Al's got his hand up too.
Al? Okay, thanks.
On the Board of Finance.
Al? Can't see you up there. Oh, I see the hand.
Yeah.
Just a second. I just thought that those charts you had reflecting your investments and challenges that you had at the beginning of your presentation were excellent. And I noticed that our budget books don't have that. Is it possible for us to get a copy of those charts? Also, the chart on the math and reading, where we stand in relation to similar towns, that would be very helpful also. I'd just like to refer to that as we proceed through the year and remind myself of the good work we're doing.
Yeah, you could send us a presentation.
Yes, I can get you that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Al, they'll send us the presentation, the deck.
You brought the copies too for everybody, right?
Okay.
Hard copies too?
I did.
Thank you. Questions, additional questions from the audience? Sir? If you come up to the mic, please. Yes. Maybe that mic there.
Sure. Sorry.
And you are, just identify yourself again.
Yes, Greg Gerolman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, a couple questions and a statement, if I may. First off, I hate to start out on a negative note, but what I just heard, and I believe what we all just heard, is a elected official accusing district leadership of being deceptive for not providing, a budget booklet that's I've reviewed and has been on the district website for quite a while. That doesn't seem consistent with what's going on. I did not hear that same individual talk about deceptiveness from previous district leadership, of which are known to have been deceptive and non-transparent. So I think some sort of apology or censor should be a remedy for that, because that was tough to witness, and it was especially tough to witness because current district leadership, if anything, they're at the outer marker in terms of transparency and communication.
Thanks, Greg. Why don't you move on from that? But this is not necessarily a forum.
Sure.
Because that person is an RTM member, but you're welcome to express your opinion.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I'd like to ask the superintendent is could you speak towards the paraprofessional contract a bit? Because that is I believe, one of the few, if not the only, contract that is ongoing, number one. And number two, if you could speak to, as it relates to, previous, what did they call it, climate surveys within the district, climate surveys towards specifically district leadership. The benchmarks in the last 2 years of the previous superintendent were 15% favorability rate and a 23% favorability rate. And I'd like to know what kind of change has taken place there, if any. So if you could just answer those two questions, and then I'd like to make a brief statement, if I may, Mr. Mooney.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll take the second one first. So with climate, all schools are in the process right now of going through what is called a high reliability schools certification level 1. And a level 1 certification earns the school the distinction of saying that they have a safe, supportive, and collaborative culture. With the safe, supportive, and collaborative culture, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything happens perfectly in that school every day, but it means the school has systems or has designed systems or are putting processes in place to be as responsive as possible to the needs of the students, the staff, and the parents in the community. To start the process, which we did last spring, we did a climate survey. I presented the results at a communications committee meeting, I think in September, if not back in the spring. We're working on a way, in the spirit of transparency, to make sure we're displaying that on the website, because we're not hiding how we're doing. But we did really pretty well with, there are 8 indicators. And to make it more simple than the 8, there are 4 general categories that we're looking at to determine the climate. And one of them is the perceptions of safety. So it's the different stakeholders of how do the parents, the students, and the staff perceive the school as being safe, supportive, and collaborative. We're also looking at opportunities for stakeholder feedback. How do those same stakeholders feel like they have a voice in the community and making positive change where they think it needs to change? The collaborative culture that exists within the school, and then like sitting here tonight, operations. Do we provide the resources that schools need in order to feel successful? So those are the indicators we're monitoring to determine the safe, supportive, and collaborative culture. As we are migrating toward Leader in Me, there is a similar type of climate assessment that we'll use that does an assessment every single year that will certainly resonate and align with the climate survey. But I feel like we're making progress, and I can share those results with whoever would like. As far as the paraprofessional contract, I don't think I can say too much because there's ground rules that prohibit us because we're in negotiations right now. So we're in the process, and we have board representation, administration, and the paras with their bargaining unit, but that's ongoing.
Okay, thanks, Chris. And Greg, you have another
Absolutely,
comment?
yes. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tranberg. So the statement, I'd like to speak in favor of the Board of Ed budget as submitted, and with additional funds added to bring greater fairness and positive optics to the paraprofessional contract. The paraprofessional contract has been an embarrassment to arguably an embarrassment to the district for quite a while. This is something that Dr. Tranberg and Mr. Levitin inherited to the point that they are being paid less than part-time custodians. And these people, while not certified, they are student-facing. And it doesn't speak highly of the district. It doesn't speak highly of the fact that it's gone on for quite a while. Dr. Tranberg has done a tremendous job of bringing clarity, functionality, and sanity to a lot of issues and challenges that he's inherited. I'd like him to have the ability to do it on this issue, because this is actually it's one of the few things that's still going on. So basically, what I'd like to suggest is that, if you look at page 31 in the Board of Ed booklet, and you look at, you go up top, and you look at year 2017 to 2018, you see that there is a precedent whereby this committee has added monies to the Board of Ed budget. The Board of Ed budget specifically in that year was 1.96%. Mr. Mooney, this committee raised it to 2.86%. Okay, so 0.90 overall. And I believe that with the need for final clarity and fairness and some sense of, honestly, I don't know if it's the right word, some sense of justice for the paraprofessionals, along with monies for, to address the $3.2 million shortfall that have been identified by Dr. Tranberg and Mr. Levitin. I think an additional, you look back at that number there, it was an additional, it was 1.5 and change. I think an additional 1.5 million to be able to address the $3.2 million shortfall and give Dr. Tranberg and Mr. Levitt in the ability to bring the paraprofessional contract to a more equitable conclusion without having to sacrifice other aspects of the budget with which to do so. And with that, let me wish everybody a good rest of the evening, and thank you, Mr. Mooney.
Thank you for your comments. Other comments or questions from the audience? Okay, we're good. Questions from the Board of Finance? Any additional questions? We have, sure.
My name is Shahida Sumro. I'm a resident of Branford and RTM member, District 4th, and I'm a chair of Education Committee. I always big supporter of the education. I think that's why I'm here. And my kids, I have 2 boys. They both graduated from here. But I have a question that we need to improve the results, especially SAT. And I have a question. The SAT and SBAC performance we need to improve. So my question is that how much of this budget is directly targeted toward improving SAT and SBAC performance?
I wouldn't be able to give a specific number right now. I can get back to you on it. But the amount of professional development, so if you look on the curriculum page of the budget book, that will give you a breakdown of how much we're investing in the professional development for teachers, which is one of the primary ways that we're investing in improving in those scores, and also with some of the resources. So looking at purchasing middle school math materials would be another example of where resources are going directly to the students.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions on the operating? John, you have a question? You want to use the mic?
Thank you. Yes.
This is less of a question than a comment, but as you said, in most of these testing, the SBA and the SAT, we're in the middle third, but in fact, in all of them, we're in the lower half. And so obviously we want to be in the top third, there's no doubt about that, and fully support whatever you're going to do to get there. But how soon do you think we can actually get to the top half?
You can typically expect about 2 points gain a year. So the reason that I keep saying top third is my first year, that was the goal that I put out, and so I do want to stick to it. So when you look at how districts are actually performing, there's not a huge spread between these districts. So 2 points could move you up 3 spots in a given year.
Okay.
So is this a goal that is actually achievable is a question that's out there. I'm keeping it there as aspirational, and I do think that one of the reasons the goal is so aggressive is because we could be performing at a higher level. And I think I've been pretty clear and transparent about that. And I think we're doing all of the things that we need to be doing, from our new instructional model, from the investments that we've made in professional development, and we're moving in that direction. The hard thing is, are these measures, if I can re-ask Mr. Hartwell's question a different way, it's like, are these measures the best measures to indicate that you're making steady progress? Because those are very summative results. What are some other things we can look at in order to see if we're making adequate progress? And we do that through our teaching and learning committee with the board. So we look at our universal screening data, and those are things that you can see things moving perhaps a little bit faster. Because if you're waiting once a year to see how you did in June, that's not going to be very helpful. But we're looking at other indicators throughout the year to make sure we're moving the needle a bit.
One other quick question, if I might. The multilingual learners, 210, what exactly do you have to do to support a multilingual learner?
depends. So just because a student is a multilingual learner doesn't necessarily mean they qualify for services. So it's just, those are who are identified as multilingual learners. If they do qualify for services, it could look different between the middle school and the elementary school and the high school. We have a team of some certified teachers and tutors who will work with students one-on-one in small groups. And then if a school has, I'm going to look at Allie, is it 20 or 25? If a school has 20 students that speak the same language, you're required by the state to have a multilingual program in that school. And so then you have additional specialized instruction for those students.
Can I ask a question relate that to
If you come up to the mic, Ken.
I remember at one time, Trish Anderson, District 1 RTM, I remember at one time there were 29 languages in the school system. Do you have any idea what it is now?
It's more. I'll get it to you. We looked at it very recently. I think it's 32, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
We've done a lot of work too. Allie's team on translation, and Kim Volkins, our EL program coordinator with Allie. We've actually, because there's a lot of parents who speak different languages, and so we, as part of this budget, we've been able to kind of stabilize some of that because we're leveraging technology for translation services. So there's these devices that have proven to be very accurate in their translation quality, and so we're starting to implement those at every school. Allie's team has done a really good job evaluating this technology, and it's extremely cost affordable in comparison. You know, a translator for a high quality translator from ACES for like a legal, special ed case, depending on the language, can be, around $100 an hour, whereas these devices are, $350 for 5 years. And they cover many languages. We have families, a growing number of families, especially when we talk about Nepali and Arabic, where it's harder to find enough translators of those languages compared to Spanish. They've proven very helpful, and then we've been able to diversify with some of our existing. We're working on a program now with existing staff who know how to speak other languages, where we can leverage them in-house instead of having to bring in an out-of-house translator to do a lot of the more informal things like an event at a school night or parent-teacher conferences and things like that, or even when a parent shows up at the door of a school and they don't speak English, we now have a lot more devices and people who can do that, and so that's been a big one, and in Chris's investment too for the early. Part of what so this budget expands on a big thing for moving the needle on test scores is starting earlier in the investments too. So last year we moved to full day pre-K. This budget, which is a partially revenue-driven program for all the growth, there was no additional pickup on that, but we continue to expand, full day pre-K, which has a long-term payoff, and we've done a bunch of multiple elementary investments, and you'll see we're spending nearly $250,000 on professional development, and a big reason for that is improving the quality of instruction across the entire district. We have a lot of maxed out PD days to the point where we really have the entire calendar filled out on any maximum kind of professional development day. So there's been a couple of major investments, but a big part of it has been building out the elementary level, and that's where you've seen a lot of those investments, including the additional STEM teacher and the teacher leaders for curriculum, because you'll really end up moving the needle from investments earlier instead of waiting until you need intervention in high school, for example. So you hopefully, Charles's team does a lot of work too to really make some investments where we're avoiding intervention when it's too late and more expensive. So a lot of focus in this budget and last year's budget was focused on early childhood.
Thanks, Blaise. Okay, other questions or comments on the operating side? If not, we'll move to capital. Use your book, or you're going to you have another slide, sir.
We have more slides.
We got slides.
69, I think, is the...
In ours, and it's in the town book, too. Catherine has the town book.
Using the Board of Ed book, or?
Page 2 in the town book in section 4. If you have the town.
So for capital, we started a new process in FY26, and we expanded on that this year. We also had the results of the master facilities plan in place, so that certainly informed our planning in a way that we weren't able to do in the previous fiscal year. You'll notice in the board budget book, there's this series of capital improvement project sheets. So every project, the respective member who submitted this had to go through this process to articulate what the needs were. And there is, the capital looks very different than it has in the past. And partially we've gone from a 3 to 5 year to match what was happening on the town side. The other piece, these are very big numbers, obviously, but they assume that every single recommendation that happened in the master facilities plan will happen. I do want to make sure that the Board of Finance is aware, as well as anyone that's listening. The team has worked very hard and closely with our representatives, so Senator Cohen, Representative Comey, and Representative Rader, really looking to see how we can maximize our reimbursement rate for these projects, because our ability to do that really will change what these projects end up looking like over time. So right now, as far as the master facilities and priority projects, we are currently working on the recent allocation of the $11 million from the Board of Finance for the high school projects. The first larger scale project, I'll call it, is the elementary schools. So that would be the closure of Sliney and then the renovation and expansion of Tisco and Murphy. We are in the feasibility study process for those schools right now, meaning we have this recommendation that came from the master facilities plan. Is it possible? Is that recommendation even possible? Is the square footage there on those parcels of land in order to accommodate not only the students of Sliney, but also with the idea of universal pre-K, can we add 6 additional pre-K classes onto each of those campuses? That's important because every elementary project that has preschool as part of it, it increases the reimbursement rate by 15%. So that's a little bit of a pivot from what our original plan was with master facilities, because we're really shooting for having preschool at the high school, having a wing for preschool, so there could be articulation for a pathway, early childhood pathway, but 15% translates into millions and millions of dollars in reimbursement. So it might be a trade-off that we can't help but consider. For people that are just tuning in, whether they're new to the town or they're just becoming part of the budget process, we did create a website last year, and it is recently updated. It's bpsforward.com. It gives the history of the master facilities planning process. There are frequently asked questions. So if someone says, what's going on? I haven't heard about this. This has been around, and we continue to update it to make sure it is as useful as possible to people. A challenge with master facilities is the people that are part of the conversation when decisions are being made tend not to be the people who are actually affected when the change happens. There's no way around that. You've all lived it before, so you know exactly what I'm saying.
I just want to add, too, on the school construction grants, you have to fully appropriate the full project cost balance, so you can't net out in your appropriation the difference. And so you have to show that the town has to appropriate. If a project's $100 million, you have to appropriate the $100 million, and then when you get into the actual financing of the project, they pay less attention to that, but the state needs to see the full obligation of the appropriation. And so right now, just for clarity, Branford has a 35% reimbursement rate, kind of by right of the formula, and then we have a 15% bonus if we move the elementary schools. Plus, there is, if you sign on to an MOU to just explore affordable housing, you can get another full 5%, which is something that First Selectman Brooks has been leading on, or
I believe we did that with the CMD?
The Development Authority?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so then that's worth 5% right there already, and then with some special ed space, it's only reimbursed on the actual space, but that comes out based on our programming to about like 2.5%. So we're already, even without special legislation, just shy of about 60% on our reimbursement rate, but you still have to show the full 100 million, for example, but even...
And that would be for the elementary schools.
That's on the elementary schools, yep. And then if you look at the high school projects, you back out the 15% is specifically, originally in the master plan, it was going to show, like Joe, you were on the committee, it was going to, and so was Josh, we were going to put it there, but the legislation for the 15% specifically is in an elementary school.
That's the incentive.
Yep.
Right.
But that's why you see the appropriation in for upfront fully, but the actual cash outflow is 60-40 right now. And then hopefully special legislation, we can really bump that up.
How are you doing with the special legislation?
Our delegation right now, especially led by Senator Cohen, has been doing an amazing job, I would say, on it. The way that we're going about it is really thoughtful and strategic. It's a big ask. The way that special legislation is quite common. Many districts get it, but what they do is they get it after the fact, basically. So you have to appropriate, you have to go in, and then when the legislature is going to vote on the project, your legislator tries to get, a reimbursement rate negotiated, and it can be worth a lot of money. Because we're in the early stages and we have such a strategic delegation, we're asking for something similar to basically only Stamford and Norwalk and Waterbury have, which is a blanket approval, and that is like an upfront ask for a guaranteed number of years at an additional reimbursement rate. And we have a pitch here that Branford has been quite aligned with the state, and we're doing a lot of the things. We have the electric bus mandate from the state. We have early childhood education. We have career pathways. There's the slide right there. And so we have a really strong pitch. But I do want to emphasize it's the way that we're going about it. Really only the second largest city in the state has it set up this way. But it's been, hopefully, the feedback has been a very thoughtful and strategic approach.
You're hoping for that in this session?
That was this session, yeah.
Good.
And then...
Is it a short session or long session? This is a short session?
Short session.
Short session.
And it's a short session, and then the thought would be is we still have the backup option to go the more traditional route when the time comes, basically.
Okay. Thanks, please.
Yeah, and so this was actually the kind of the closing slide, but I'll work backwards from it.
Sorry,
because I think it's an important.
See?
It's not like you to end it early, so it's good.
Hey.
Look at that.
Okay, we're over.
It's Allie's birthday. We're out.
Yeah.
All right. So this alignment of priorities, I think it's an important message to show how strategic we've been, but also how forward-thinking the district is in what it's trying to do for education and the community. Working backwards, a few others that I'll point out is safety and security is part of capital. The large driver of that is the Verkada security system. Needs renewal, and that's a three-year renewal of Verkada.
I got a question about that.
Yes.
Why do you have to pay in advance on that?
That's
You have to on their
because we agreed to it?
No, they don't allow. Verkada doesn't for their multi-year pricing. We had Tom check into this to see if we could go annual, but the annual, they only either do annual, which was substantially more expensive, or 3-year paid at once on an invoice through.
But you looked at it.
Yeah. No, we sent Tom back, and this is something that we've done, through following a competitive process, and we've actually looked at other vendors too to get that price down, and we've ended up finding we're going through. So Verkada is like the parent company, and they license it, but you can implement it through another party that also does like installs or something. And so you can sometimes get a lower rate when you put it out to multiple people. Like there's CDWG, there's Eastern Datacom, there's all the big partners that are in the sphere. And so, but they don't accept, we tried to push hard, and basically if we just switched back to an annual subscription, it's just like an additional, it was in, I don't have the number off the top of my head, it was tens of thousands of dollars more per year for the exact same thing.
Okay.
We also are continuing the furniture program that we launched last year. If you were able to join us on the facilities tour this summer, you could see what a classroom looks like with the new furniture, without. It might sound like a small thing, but the last time the furniture was replaced, I think Mr. O'Connor said it was in the 60s. Is that right?
Like it's in the 80s.
The 80s, okay. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
Hey, it looks like it, though.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't have been wood. They're not wood.
Yeah.
But the true thing that they did is they actually flipped over the furniture and said, if it lasted this long, who's the manufacturer? And so that's who we went with again for this new furniture. And if you're thinking about, well, what's happening with all the master facilities piece, the intent would be that all of this furniture would obviously go to the new locations. So it's a universal replacement, so every classroom is equipped the same way with the same furniture. And we did all of 4th grade last year, so the plan would be to move to grade 3 this next year. The last thing that I'll point out is the high school athletics complex. I might feel like some of these things just happened yesterday, but the turf is getting close to end of life. So that is coming. So in phase 1 in FY28 is for track replacement and track resurfacing. And in FY29, there's placeholder for bleachers, press box, and scoreboard improvements to modernize that space. And I did the big closer slide thanks to Blaze, and there's just also just naming some of the assumptions that we made going through this process. So these are just the variables, and these are things that you know as the Board of Finance, but these are things that we considered as well. And in the spirit of transparency, we did just want to be clear, this just articulates the process the board went through. This is a screenshot of just what's on the budget materials website, so you can see it's my initial presentation all the way to the budget book that you have in front of you now are all available there. So if anyone's asking where to get them, that is probably the easiest place. And if anyone would really love a hard copy of the book, we can certainly provide that.
And what we added in there too this year, so the Board of Ed budget, many of you know, and in detail, they didn't used to break it out in the same munis accounting structure that you were using the character codes, and we changed all of our reporting to match, so it's all broken out, 100s, 200s, 300s, 400s, and then on the website too, and we can share it. What we post in January every year is a individual. The board goes through, and Megan, who's our PNF chair, has been a leader in increasing transparency in the Board of Ed budget, and we've done we actually go through by every object code, and we explain each year-to-year driver increase, and it highlights every single kind of by account what all of the drivers are for every single account. That's something that's posted online in January, and then we update it again for each of the board levels, and we usually end up sharing that out too. And all of the board also records all of their questions in writing that they do, and then we draft all the answers so that they can be shared with the public. So each Q&A workshop, we do this exercise with the board, but we actually document and kind of do all of the Q&As, and we usually go back through 3 of those Q&A sessions, and every one of those, and we reference to all of the object codes that those are associated with now. That was a big change to kind of something that we recently started doing last year.
Well, thank you. Questions from the board on the Capitol? Questions from the audience, RTM members? Greg, you come on and come up to the mic.
Thank you again. Greg Gerolman, again, regarding capital, I'd just like to go back to last year's budget, because I think there's something that's historically significant in terms of the situation that we're in. As I recall it, Dr. Tranberg pretty much got what he requested last year, but a lot of it was in terms of capital. It was not in the operating budget. Recently, I spoke to Dr. Tranberg and Mr. Levitin, and with regard to specifically the master facilities issues and all of the expenses, et cetera, and I guess this is the executive recruiter in me, right? I asked them, was this something that was discussed in terms of your interview process? Each of these gentlemen, and gentlemen, please correct me if I'm wrong, okay, each of them indicated no, it was not. I mean, they knew full well that they were going into a change-needy situation, but yet were unaware of this, and again, it was not discussed prior. So basically, the point being, with that as context, there's a school of thought that says that, hey, if we're going to give them more money, well, that will help satisfy a deficiency on the operating side. But at the same time, at least last year, one school of thought is we gave them more money to help clean up messes that were not on their watch and which they weren't even aware of. And that is not consistent with best practices for a situation that requires change to reach the levels that we aspire to. So in closing, I'd just like the Board of Finance to be mindful of that. I reserve the right to be wrong, but at the same time, I've researched it closely. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, Josh or Catherine or anybody. If you folks any questions, Al, you're all set. Yeah. So thank you. Very good presentation. And our challenge is to look at all of the budgets. As you know, this is the largest one, large increase, and knowing what's out there as far as the master plan and everything else. So obviously, Blaze and Chris have been worked very closely with Town Hall and our board to be as transparent, as clear as possible, knowing we have challenges across the board. So thank you for your presentation, and look forward to, if we have any follow-up questions, we'll contact you for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Any questions, please let us know.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you.
Harry, no new leadership there, no new administrators, I promised you.
Okay.
Just following through.
So, thank you, Chris. With no other business to come before the board, we'll ask for a motion to...
Joe, stand by.
Yes, Tracy? Tricia.
Tricia Anderson again, sorry. I just have a question on the overall budget.
Overall budget?
Yeah, just
Okay.
as far as how it works.
Okay.
So at the end of each year, if there's a balance left over, does that get brought forward from the operating and capital?
It depends on if it's in one of the funds, a capital project funds, or a particular project that's been appropriated, then it would usually carry over.
To a new project?
Well, not to a new project. That would continue into multiple fiscal years. If it's a capital projects fund, like a sinking fund, or one of the projects that are ongoing,
okay,
those appropriations would continue. But if it's in the operating budget, then anything that's unexpended, if there's not a purchase order on it or it's not encumbered, then it would go into fund balance.
Okay. And who monitors the balances of these accounts for the town? So monies don't...
For a budget account?
Yeah, so it doesn't get kind of stuck in a department, it has to come back. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Be me.
I would say it's Josh. No. So what happens is that each department is responsible for their budgets, okay? And so whether or not it's recreation or police or fire, then we hold them responsible for maintaining their budgets. Everything goes through Town Hall, which is Catherine, and the finance office. And so they have purchase order systems, and they either, will approve an expenditure or cut the check or work through some other bid process or whatever. So it's not only the departments that are responsible, but it's also funnels through the finance office.
Right, checking the balance.
Right, yeah. Now with the Board of Ed maintains their own
I heard
individual
that.
accounts.
I thought that was
Yeah.
great, the way he said the 2% was allowed by the state, but you give it back, so kudos to you.
Right, that's a new statute. And then the Board of Ed then again maintains their own accounts, and they also work closely with Town Hall on transfer of funds and reconciliations and so.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sure, anytime. Josh, Catherine?
I would, if I could just take a minute to,
Sure.
I'd like to correct some information I had given when Frank asked the question the other day about the insurance,
Okay.
The municipal health insurance account. I had stated that it was net of, the 7 million was net. That was a misstatement, and I apologize. It's actually, that number is a gross number of those components that were in there. If you look at page 9 in your budget book, there is a line for the premium share that we take from employees. I just wanted to correct that. I apologize.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, no other questions or comments? Then we will conclude the public hearings for the budget, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved and seconded by Yvette. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. After the 6th. The 6th? Yeah. So that's a regular.
You in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.